We're doing good over here. We're over here in Seattle, Michelle and Julie. And then Andrew is over there in Austin, Texas. Yep.
Yeehaw!
Yeehaw! I know.
I had to
Everybody's been
do
hearing
that.
about an Andrew in Austin, Texas, right? It's like he hasn't started wearing cowboy boots yet. I'm very grateful. He's become a little bit more conservative, not so grateful. And he has got a beautiful bride coming up, getting married, got the house, he's just like living the life, that kid. So we're excited to
Game
have him here
changer.
with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming on, Andrew.
Of
Um,
course. I've been seeing a
so,
lot of you.
Michelle,
I
do
just
you,
saw you last weekend.
what's that?
I just saw you last weekend. I'm seeing a lot of
I
you.
know. I kind of feel like I'm seeing more of you now than you're in Texas.
I know it's weird. I feel like I'm
Yeah.
talking to the family a lot more as a whole. So
What's
Yeah.
kind of weird is that you were here last week and I didn't see you. But now that
yeah, I
you're in
think we
Texas,
we just
I
we didn't
see
cross
you.
paths.
That's how it works.
Yeah, that is.
Well, hey, Michelle, do you want to introduce what we're going to be talking? We're recording, we're live, we're on YouTube actually live right now. We didn't advertise that. So I don't know what that means exactly. We're just going to give it a try.
We're just giving it a shot.
Yeah. But
Um,
go ahead.
yeah, I would love to give everybody the down low on what we're going to talk about tonight. Um, as you all know, and I'm sure it is all, that last week we had a bit of an interruption with TikTok, right? And there were all the rumblings prior, and, oh, January 20th, and this, that, and the other, and it's all going to happen. Everybody was up in arms and worried, and all kinds of ideas swirling around in regard to who, what, where, why, when. Okay. And then when it really happened, I think everybody kind of freaked out a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And some people freaked out a lot. And then, within a blink of an eye, here we are back up again. And
Miraculous.
miraculously, thank you, Donald Trump, for reinstating the TikTok.
Wow, he's our savior.
So it said right there when I opened it up. So it must be true, right, Andrew?
They kind of gave him a layup.
They
It's like,
totally gave him a layup.
Yeah, they did.
especially with the younger crowd. I feel like it was just could have been
Yeah,
avoided.
it's like too bad it didn't happen before the election, right? He would have had even more votes, right, from the younger crowd. But
Yeah.
anyway, so Andrew has a different perspective. He obviously has followed a lot of the stuff that's been going on, and this TikTok ban has been in discussion for about 6 months or so with the government, the federal government. But with all of this happening, we were having a really interesting conversation when he was here last weekend, and from the time we started talking about it until the next day, everything changed. But we
Mhm.
just thought it might be really helpful for a young millennial like himself to get on here and really kind of talk about the what he sees from his perspective, because a lot, as you know, Andrew, a lot of our audience are people that are a little older than you and maybe are not necessarily as in tune with what's happening on the social media front. Some are,
Hey,
some aren't.
hey, 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 come on now.
Girl, I'm older than you, so
Give us a little
I was
credit.
just saying before this, I think you guys are more active on social media than I am. So
yeah. Well,
who am I to say
we get a little
otherwise?
help.
It's interesting, though, Andrew, because since we started talking about this with some of the things that you had been talking to Jules about, I started asking people questions
Mhm.
and really kind of paying attention a little bit more to what some of the ideas and, if we want to call them, conspiracy theories surrounding why this was happening. And I've heard more than a few different things. So I'm interested to hear your perspective to see if it goes along with any of the things that I've been finding out.
Sure. So I think that my stance is a little contradictory. My mom looks at me as this hardcore conservative. I'd like to look at
He's
myself.
not hardcore.
Yeah, I look at
He's
myself as a moderate, but my viewpoint on it contradicts the right wing, so to speak. Like when I think I started formulating my opinion when I watched. There was a Senate hearing with, obviously all the senators and the owner and the president or CEO of TikTok, and I was just listening to like the quality of questions that they were asking, and to me, they pinned it as, it's owned by China. They're going to steal our data. But then I started to like listen to the questions that they were asking. For example, one of the questions was, if I use TikTok on my Wi-Fi, can you hack into my Wi-Fi kind of thing? I'm like,
Hmm.
okay, I don't think they truly understand like A, what data is being harvested.
Hmm.
B, I don't think they have an understanding of how it works in terms of how the data is sold. Because if they did, then they'd be calling for regulations across the board, not just TikTok, but
Right.
American companies also, like the Metas, the Facebooks, the Instagram, Twitter, X, all of them are harvesting our data and selling it for
Hmm.
profit.
Yeah, they
So
are.
to me, when you're calling out TikTok, yes, it's owned by China, and you're having an issue with them stealing data or using our data, we'll have a universal stance on it. Don't I think it kind of caught this rep because kids were using it all over,
Right.
uh, and it's probably one of the most popular apps in the United States. And to be fair, China has a very different version of the app than America
Yeah, they
does.
do. Mm-hmm.
Well,
Theirs is
it's
like
a communist version, right? I mean, it's very
so
censored.
if you look on TikTok app, the top left has like for you, you're followed, like some live or something, and the other far left column is STEM, like so
Yep.
sciences, research, math, like basically school related studies. For us, there's no regulation for younger kids. They can see anything that I see,
Hmm.
Scary.
right? So I do get that. That to me is like, okay, they're kind of dumbing down ours, but it's America versus China, right? I mean, there's a lot more
Well,
regulation.
do you
But
feel like that it seems like it's kind of an almost a social experiment when you look at the fact that we don't have a lot of parameters around it, and then you see what's on there. Obviously, we have a lot more freedom to do whatever we want, but it's like it's kind of insane some of the stuff that you see on there. Now, it's
well,
not
so
China per se, but it's the user that's doing it.
I feel like it's
the
mindless
concern is like,
entertainment.
Yeah, scrolling, lots of scrolling.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, mindless scrolling.
So the one thing we were talking about, Andrew, that you just kind of pointed out was when the congressional hearings that were taking place were with the owner, the CEO of TikTok, who happens to be Korean.
No, he
He's
was from
from,
Taiwan. Or,
no, I'm sorry, you're right. He's from Taiwan. Yeah. And
well,
Taiwan is a little,
it's not China. It's another country.
my
Singapore.
apologies.
It's Singapore.
Singapore. Thank you. Singapore. But the representative from, it was Alabama or Arkansas. It was one of the southern states. I almost feel like he was kind of ignorant about even where Singapore was in relation to China. And, because he kept asking him, are you a citizen? Are you asked to do And this guy was kind of looking at him going, I am a Singaporean. Like the representative did not really understand what the difference was. It was almost like he looked at like Asian cultures all the same. That's how I got it.
I will point out that even though the CEO is Singaporean, it is still owned by China. I mean,
Correct. Well, a
so
subsidiary,
at the end of
right?
the day, it's like, yes, he was Singaporean. I get the concern. Just be consistent.
Hmm.
That's it seemed like egregious overreach. I mean, to me personally, I was like,
Of the government to
yeah, I'm just like, come on, like we're trillions of dollars in debt, and you guys are worried about banning TikTok. Like, it's
Can
crazy to me.
can I read something that we got from a listener?
Yes.
On their take on this. So apologies, but I am going to read because I don't want to misconstrue something. Because I was asking this question out and got some feedback. So this person said, apparently after TikTok was brought back online by Trump this week, users are being censored for posting "Free Palestine." This was clearly part of the terms negotiated by President Trump to extend TikTok's lifespan in the US. So far since Trump's election, we have seen increased censorship on X and TikTok directly related to the issues of legal immigration and the war in Gaza. This already vindicates my prediction that censorship might increase under Trump, especially due to the influence of his donors. Thoughts on that?
So I guess from my perspective, I noticed a change when I downloaded it or when it got reinstated or whatever.
Yeah,
All my content, whether my algorithm had yet to populate, but it was all like a day of the life in China, or
it was
Oh,
um,
different.
really?
it was really weird. It was very pro China, and I'm like, okay. And I literally
Mm-hmm.
scrolled, 15, 20 times. Like, all right, I'm just getting off the app because it seemed like that was all the content now. It was like pro China, and I was like, okay, this is
That
weird.
was after it came back up, you mean?
Yep, Yep. So I don't know if everyone's experience is a little bit different. Like it probably got readjusted in some way, shape, or
Yeah.
form,
Yeah.
and we have no insight into to how.
Right.
So what do you think is going, what do you, in just kind of your thought process on this whole thing with being offline for 10, 12 hours, which is usually when they do data transfers and things. Do you feel like there is a plan? I mean, this is totally hypothetical, just kind of what we're surmising to have, like say Meta take it
Mm.
over.
So that's an option. There's a couple options. It's either there was like a server transfer, so the data, you know, there was some kind of data transfer to where servers changed. So don't know what that means, but platform isn't a different place than it was before. The second one is what they're trying to say is that it was taken down because of U.S. regulation. It was banned by our government. So it's like that
Yeah.
to me, there was a deadline. It didn't get extended by Biden. So like it would have been suspended. That's also a very realistic possibility.
I
I mean, those are
honestly
really
was
the only two
shocked.
options. It either migrated servers or it was a legitimate ban that happened.
Yeah, because we did get the note. I think it was like 9 o'clock, so it must have been New York time or something. So it would have been midnight there, and everything just kind of shut down. You know, you could see
Mhm.
things in the background, and then boom, all of a sudden there's a note there that just said, "Sorry, this has been banned." And what I found so interesting is for editing, I use a tool called CapCut. CapCut is has the same Chinese subsidiary as TikTok, and it's banned. Like I can't use it anymore. I can't get in there. I can't do anything with it.
You
That one
still
hasn't.
you still
No,
haven't been able to?
no.
Oh, holy
So I
smokes.
have to go
Okay.
find a different resource to use. I have one that I'm going to use, but I just thought that was so interesting. That one didn't come back up, and it sounds like there's quite a few things that have been shut down. I don't know what all of them are, but it's social media probably related or tool related in this case.
I have one more point that I forgot to mention too.
Hmm.
And it goes back to just I'm trying to understand the government's logic or reasoning, other than they don't know what they're really doing. Or and it comes down to like, okay, if you're worried about China having this information on Americans, but we're making all of our iPhones in China. And
And everything else we have
Everything.
here.
I know it's
Everything.
crazy.
what's more of a problem, an app that kids use, or the fact that all of our smart iPhones are made in China? That
I
seems
kind
like
of
a
feel like
way bigger issue.
we've only already gone over. I mean,
Yeah.
everything's made there. It seems.
Everything.
So,
Right.
do you feel like there's going to be? I think with Trump in office, we're probably going to be having more restrictions or not embargoes, but tariffs placed on product because they aren't paying their share of taxes or whatever. That I know that was something that was coming up before. So I don't know if things are going to start becoming more expensive
It's a
because
two-edged
they're just
sword,
not going to be
though.
as, huh?
In my eyes, it's a double-edged sword. Yes, you're not going to be able to get things as cheap because you can't capitalize off of below market labor because they're not paying up fair wages overseas. But
Right.
it will, in a sense, encourage American companies to do more stuff here, which we might feel temporary pain from for sure. But
I
to
think the
me,
problem
like,
though. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, I mean, that just seems like, we're going to have to do it at some point. We need to be more self-reliant. We can't get everything from China. So it's
Hmm.
like pain now or
And
pain later.
oil from the Mid East,
Yeah,
stuff from China.
let's show it.
So,
Oh, go ahead.
another thought provoking question, maybe, and things that I've seen people posting is the fact that the US government is able to shut this down, right?
Oh yeah.
But for some reason, we can't figure out how to minimize or start to eliminate the internet in regard to child pornography, sex trafficking, all of these other things. And I know that it's kind of high level. We wouldn't
Hmm.
be able to shut that down, but it seems if they can shut down this app all the way across the board for all its users, there would be sites and things like that they could shut down as well, which makes way more sense for
It,
those things to be shut down.
it would be it's so the way that the black market works, from what I understand, is like they're held in servers that like their IP address can change.
The dark
So they're
web.
using
The
a
dark web.
VPN,
Yeah.
and the IP addresses can change, so they're not really easily traced back. To where TikTok is a known
Right.
IP, they can trace all the traffic back to this one location. If a
Hmm.
child porn website gets, wind that the feds are onto them, they'll just change their IP.
So funny story.
What, you were
Uh,
watching porn
no,
and
no,
what?
no, 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 no. One of my coworkers, though, when realized when it really shut down, he was like, well, whatever. He tried it on both of his devices and it wasn't working, and he deleted the app, not realizing that he
Oh,
wouldn't be able to download it now that it's back up. I don't know if y'all heard that, but it's
Oh, really?
only, did you know that? Yeah.
No, I didn't know.
So for once they shut it down, pre-existing users, if you already have the app, you're good now that it's back up and we're using it again. But for anybody that didn't have the app prior, or like him, he deleted it. You're not able to go to the app store and download TikTok right now.
Interesting.
hmm.
So it's not growing, right? Even though it's back on, it's not continuing to grow in regard to users, because if you didn't have it prior to this, you can't get it right now.
Right.
Kind of makes sense.
One also funny repercussion is their goal was to drive users off of TikTok, ban it.
Right.
It's owned by China. And the
Yeah.
number one downloaded app last week was a Chinese social media company. They
The
didn't
red
even
Oh
note.
yeah, with Red Note, wasn't
Yeah.
it?
link
Yeah,
is
I
the
know.
Verge,
And
everything.
it's all in Chinese. So it's like, and it's censored anyway. So, when we were going back to the Senate, or Congress, I guess, um, the one thing we were talking about, and which is, I know when we're looking at this issue going forward, anything to do with social media or things that are in our day and age, the vast majority of the people that are in Congress are like well over our age, my age, Michelle's age. To your point earlier, I don't think they necessarily have a real true understanding or grasp on exactly what it even is. It's not like they're users of it.
Exactly.
So it's almost like someone needs to be able to come in and be and almost like a committee or something that's of people that are more progressive, that are younger, that have a better understanding of the web and the networks and all the things that go into it. Because otherwise, I think if the education was out there, maybe the issue wouldn't be as frightening as they're making it out to be.
I don't know. I think these government people are pretty cozy, rubbing elbows with a lot of high tech meta people.
Hmm.
I mean, you saw them all at the inauguration yesterday.
I know.
And, I just think that there's something to be said for that. Trump is making a huge deal in regard to AI going forward. There's a lot of things that I believe, are we'll see what comes down the pike. But I'm pretty sure that there's a lot that will be connected with Meta going forward at some point in the future. So I don't know.
That's kind of my prediction. It's
Yeah.
going to, if they end up being able to take it over, it's going to be one of these companies that already has a conglomerate on, all kinds of
Yep.
stuff on the US side. Your generation, Andrew, and your kids and your kids' are kind of screwed with all this AI stuff and everything coming up. I mean, it's really exciting, but at the same time, it's really dangerous stuff when people don't
Right.
understand it and they're not using it well.
Well, how do you feel about it, Andrew? Let's just talk about that for a second, since she keeps saying your generation. I mean,
He's
you're a little bit younger than us, but
just a
Well,
tiny bit.
you know,
it's a tough position because technology has made us such an advanced society. Like we're on a video call across the
Hmm.
country
yeah,
Hmm.
talking, and this took some male person's job away back in the day. I don't know. I'm just trying to throw an example. So it's like, not to say double-edged sword again, but it is a double-edged sword. Like this technology here is going to make things so easier. Like I just saw that I don't remember what tech company it is. Maybe it was Meta or something, but they were forecasting. They're basically saying like, stop going into computer science. We're going to be able to have AI do our coding. They're going to start being able to solve base
I
code,
saw that. I saw
right?
that.
And then
Yeah.
eventually that code's going to be built off of itself by more AI, and then all the code's going to be built by AI at some point. So there's an
So
entire
that's
position.
Smarter than people.
So
But
there's a lot of jobs that are going to be in jeopardy in that
oh,
world too.
definitely
Then,
high paying jobs too. I mean, those
yeah.
are very high paying jobs. But to me, I mean, like that makes sense. It's inevitable. Like
Hmm.
they're going to do a better job at solving code issues than a human. And in that by them, I mean AI. I mean, they're going to be able to seek it out much faster. It's going to be lower overhead for the company. They're going to have to invest a lot up front and make billions in 10 years, kind of thing.
It's
It
It's
crazy.
the
sucks.
whole thing with
It's just
AI that,
inevitable. I don't think we can do anything about it.
well, the problem with it is like there is no human touch behind it. So it's like they're gleaning things from places and people across the world that, like we had an episode on this where they were talking about how many millions and trillions of images are in a database, and they can create a person's face that's nobody,
Right.
out of just putting all these different things together and everything. So it's, like the deep fakes and the stuff that's coming up. It's hard to know really what's going to be real and what's not real.
Just like the TikTok ban. Is it real or is it not real?
Well, I think it was real for 12 hours. And now it's back, and it'll be
Yeah.
interesting to see what is traded in our world, to make sure that that comes up, because there are a lot of really pissed off people. I mean, there's a lot of people who make their living, they're influencers, they make their living that way. And I mean, I don't know, like you said, double-edged sword. There's a lot of good things, but there's a lot of bad things too. I think it occupies a lot of people's time, and not in a great way, including
Have,
myself. I
have
mean,
you
I've
ever
done.
bought anything from a TikTok shop?
Mm-mm.
Mm-mm. Me
Okay, I
neither.
just am not gonna say
I
anything.
haven't done TikTok shop or Temu yet, but I'm not really a big shopper as it is. I
No,
mean,
I was laughing at your mom's response because she was very tight-lipped and chose not to say anything, which is very telling. So
they're
it's
always
all good.
Hey,
advertising the
I
good deal.
just got I just got today. I ordered these AI headphones. Right here, I am talking about AI. I told you about these, Andrew,
Yeah,
where
yeah.
the 72 languages it will translate for you. So if
Have you
someone's
tried them
talking
out
to you,
yet?
no, they're still in the, me, they're still in the box. I just
How
got
much
them
were
today.
those? Do you mind if I
Eight.
ask?
They were only $18
I need to get those for
each.
my trip.
Well, you could just use this, but it took literally over 2 months to get here from,
Oh, geez.
guess where?
China.
China. Yeah. Well, it's all the writing on it is all Chinese. There's other very limited amounts of English writing on the boxes. So I'm like, I have no idea what the hell I bought, but we're going to give it a try and see how it
There you
works. I
go.
mean,
There you
some,
go.
and Timu, that's a whole nother thing, you know, that's a
Yeah.
whole nother thing. Like the socks I'm wearing. No, I'm just kidding. They're from Timu.
Sheen, Timu, all of that stuff. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
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 And that's the thing, the cheap labor. So when you go back to in the US trying to promote product being made in the US, it's just so expensive to make it here
You
because we
know,
don't use that
it's
labor.
it's like anything though, not like anything, but that just made me think of local business and
Right.
how we hear that supporting your local business and farmers markets, things like that are
Hmm.
local business here in your area, and it always costs more, it's more expensive, but that's the whole idea behind supporting those things is because
Hmm.
they are right here. It is in America. It's people trying to prosper and, be more and do more right here in the
And
good old US of
good old
A,
US of
you
A.
know?
So, and that's why I stay out of Walmart. I mean, I don't love Walmart. I don't go to, it's just because you look at
But
it and you're
she
like,
she shops on Temu, but she stays out of Walmart.
I just tried Temu. I
Oh,
honestly didn't really know originally what it was, and I got all this stuff in the mail. I'm like, dang. It's like,
yeah.
and Zoe had told me, yeah, what it was.
Yeah.
Counter
Well,
question to that point though.
Yeah.
So we're talking about fair labor prices. How do
hmm
you guys feel about immigration and
actually,
being
I was
able
going to
to
see if you'd chat on that a little bit.
farmers, or I guess the people harvesting the crops, subpar wages that are not legal in this country, but we do it because it's cheap. And
Hmm.
I mean, how do you feel about that? Because it's kind of the same thing.
It is kind of the same thing. I mean, I don't, Michelle, I'll let you go first.
Different, but it's kind of the same.
I know Andrew has an opinion on this.
Uh, yeah. I mean, when you present the question and you just said that, I'm like, well, that's not fair. That's exactly what I was thinking. It's not fair that we're able to pay them subpar wages. But to your point, yeah, it's more than what they can make, in, we'll just use Mexico. It's more than what they can make in Mexico. And I dealt with that a lot when I was in the restaurant industry. People would
Hmm.
come and they would work, in the restaurant and just make all their money and send it home, you
Yeah.
know? So,
Well, I kind of see, you guys, that the jobs we're talking about are not jobs that Americans are really willing to take. That's
because
kind of
they
why,
pay so low because their
well, I mean,
competition is a
yeah.
quarter of the price.
we've got people who are on unemployment or who are saying there's no jobs available. And it's, I mean, I kind of am of the opinion that if you're a hustler and you have it to feed a family, you do what you need to do to feed your family. And
But
that's
if
where a lot of that comes from, you know. I
We need to
personally
make
have not had to do that
the
before.
unemployment restrictions a little bit harder, so
What?
people have to get jobs. They can't stay on it.
Yeah.
That's a different topic.
Yeah, it's a different topic. Well, tell me, how do you feel about all of this stuff that's going on with immigration? Because it's it's kind of good. I'm worried about it because I mean, even just yesterday, I was seeing something. I think it was on Reddit or whatever, but there were ICE people that were kind of like roaming around. There was like warnings out there about ICE cars roaming around looking for people that are undocumented. And I'm just like, holy shit, that didn't take long, you know? And they're
Yeah,
actually in some states able to identify undocumented kids in schools. And there, you know, that there's a ban that was, well, Trump, I think on his first day, maybe second day, he put in the legislation for kids that are born in the United States of undocumented parents. Right now, they become U.S. citizens automatically, and he put in for them not to become U.S. citizens automatically. And that's been actually there's some judges that have opposed that, and so it's on hold. But in theory, that's what's happening right now. You know, you've got people that are having children that are not documented, but their children have become U.S. citizens, and that's where a lot of those DACA kids came from. You know, when Obama was in office, because it's like the Dreamers. It's not their fault. They had nothing to do with the things that are going on, and this is
sure.
the only place they know. They don't know any other part of the world.
Yeah.
But
I mean, right or wrong, I mean it's a tough situation because you have the human aspect to that whole. It's humans. So you're dealing with
yeah,
humans. It's tragic. I mean, one thing that, right or wrong, no matter how you feel on this, one thing that I learned today or yesterday is that the United States is very unique in having that policy to admit citizens upon birth if your parents are born overseas. Like the example that was in the news article was Germany. Like Germany, a lot of places in Europe do not have that policy. It goes
really.
back if the kid is born in Germany and they're from Sudan or wherever, the kid is classified as a Sudan citizen.
Okay.
So the United States is unique. And I think that
yeah.
we're unique because we are a country founded on immigration, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
all
We
of
are.
our parents came here at some point,
Yep.
but I think it's gotten so out of control that you have to be a little more hard lined with it. And it does suck. I mean, there's a human aspect to it. And that's where I get swayed in both directions because I do want to
Mm-hmm.
be consistent in my opinions. And if you come here illegally, you shouldn't get the same benefits that someone who waited in line. That's
Mm-hmm.
my thought. But it's tough. And I mean, I think you got to take a hardline stance on it. I mean, look at all the crime. I mean, I feel like I had to leave my hometown partially because of the crime. I'm not blaming immigrants, but I know that some of the crime that was committed was by some of them. I
Yeah.
eventually lived here legally.
It was actually the homeless crisis that swayed him from moving out of this area, you know, with some of the things that they were experiencing. But you were kind of lived in the hood, I mean, a little
Yeah.
bit. So that was part of it too.
Yeah.
But yeah, the immigration thing is really tough because I mean, like right now, we were talking about this the other day. I have no, if I was in charge of immigration, what would I do? I mean, it's such a massive problem, you know, and you are dealing with all these humans that really just are trying to get out of wherever they're at. That's a bad situation. But because our borders have been open so frequently, or people that are obviously staying that were on expired visas as well. But you've got a lot of people that are coming over the border in a lot of the states that are, including Texas, that
Mhm.
are border states to Mexico. People are coming through, you know, Venezuela and all over South America and Central America through there to our borders. And it's dangerous, not
Oh,
only dangerous for them, but the drug trade. There's just so many bad things that are happening. So, yes, across the border, we're probably getting people that are not legit people. We have no way of really being able to know, if they're criminals, over in the other country, in
That's
their
the
country
problem.
where,
That's why it needs to be
yeah.
legal. It needs to be legal immigration.
So if we're not able to verify any of those things, or if someone commits a crime, I don't feel like they should be staying. I don't think we should be keeping them in our jail. I think
Yeah.
we should be, sending them to wherever, but there's no way to know if they're held accountable. If they murder somebody here, we have taxpayers that are going to now pay for them to live in jail. So it's like one payment over another. It all kind of comes back to money in a lot of ways.
And I will say that the whole immigration topic, like living in the Pacific Northwest, you are pretty separated from it. Like,
Hmm.
to me, it wasn't that big of an issue for me because I didn't feel like, it's a lot different when they're coming over the border 4 hours away. Like,
Right.
imagine if Canada was Mexico and you had
Yeah.
all this stuff at the Canadian border. You guys would probably feel a little bit differently about immigration as a whole.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, it
Changed
would.
my
I think so. I mean, if it's impacting things like, well, we know, like my sister, your aunt, it's like teaches in a public school in Snohomish County, which is north of Seattle, and she has a lot of children who are they don't speak English,
hmm
or English is a second language, and it's a very limited amount of second language because their parents don't speak English. So they're not learning it except at school. And she's, she speaks English, but she has a little bit of Spanish, but she's learned how to kind of utilize the kids in the classrooms and stuff that speak
hmm
those languages to help guide the other kids. I mean, can you imagine being a little kid trying to learn in an environment like that? I mean, thank God they're able to get in there, but if they weren't, I just think about the children that have been separated from their parents at the borders and put in cages and put in places where it's like no human being should ever have to be in, especially separated from their parents. And that's a Biden thing. That was a Trump thing before that. It continues now to be an issue. This has been going on for quite some time. It's just gotten a lot worse.
I saw the new border czar got asked that question. He's like, "What do you mean? We'll deport them together." He's like, "We're not going to separate the kids. We'll deport them all." I was like, "Oh, all
Yeah.
right." There's a hardline stance coming down the pipe. So
Well, what and if you've got someone who was born, say they were born here and they're 18, 19 years old now, they're considered a U.S. citizen, I guess, because they were born here, but they literally don't know anything else.
there should be a process. I mean, the most logical thing to me is if they were born here, they've been here for 18 years.
Hmm.
Do they have a criminal history?
Yeah.
Have they been a contributing member of society? If yes, they get an exception.
Yeah. I know. That's what I was saying. It's like, is there any way you could literally just shut immigration down? Like, just shut everything down, literally shut it down. And everybody who's on the United States side that's made it through, there's an analysis that's completed on, their, in I guess you could say, in preparation for citizenship to determine if they've got, a criminal record. I don't even know how you'd figure that out. And then from there, I think the problem with the immigration system is that it takes so damn long for people
hmm
to be able to get their citizenship.
Yeah.
And so, and a lot of time they can't wait because they are in a very, maybe they're in a scary situation or they are in a poverty related situation or something. They want a better life for their kids. I mean, I'd take you and put you under my wing and carry you over there when you were 2. I would have done it if it meant the difference between you being in a cartel or not, or being in some street gang. I wouldn't even question it. I would have done it.
Plenty of the
But
cartel are here. Plenty of the
yeah,
cartel are here with drugs and violence.
yeah.
Also, I mean, so that's what I. Yeah.
And
Do
I,
you guys?
the gun thing, it's like in Texas, it's obviously guns are very welcome and legal, and I mean they're legal here too, but it's just very much like an open thing there. And I saw something today about like 4 police officers getting killed or shot in San Antonio, and I'm like, I'm like, that's only an hour from you, hour and a half or something from you. It's happening everywhere. You've got this. Yeah, that's a whole nother topic, but
I'd rather be prepared. It's,
I know he
I'm
even got a
I'm
gun for his fiance.
good. I'm thankful for the people that are prepared. I
Yeah,
am.
I know he could come back here and he's my zombie apocalypse guy, right?
Yeah.
So, and it's like I do appreciate the people that are fine with using them when we absolutely need them, but I always worry that they're just around, and if people aren't responsible or taking care to make sure they're locked up and things, we've got a lot of other problems that are happening. So,
right.
I mean, we are the only country in the whole world that has the number of school shootings and shootings that are out there. I mean,
Yeah.
freedom isn't free. There's all kinds of things that go along with it. It's like a lot of things could be detrimental. So,
Yeah, I know.
anywho,
Not to belabor the point, but like crime happen. No matter how many restrictions you have on them, there's still going to be gun crime.
Yep. Shit
yeah,
happens.
I do think there should be more restrictions, though. That's just me. I know we agree to disagree on that topic. Well, I was there anything else you wanted to add on the TikTok thing since we're here? I think we've
Just
kind of covered it.
figure
Let's
it out. Like, what the hell?
maybe plan on an update like in the next couple of months if we see that there's some changes and things that have taken place, because honestly I think it's great to explain a lot of the things and get it from a more unbiased opinion than from some of the media that you see. So,
I think we should circle back on immigration as well. Give it a few months, see how it's going down there in Texas,
Yep.
Andrew, and what the feel is with any repercussions or laws that they're putting into place, how they're handling it, that kind of stuff. I think it would be, and comparison wise, because you were there last year too. So compared to how things were last year when you were there with regard to it, and
Sure.
how it was being handled or talked about in social circuits, just in everyday life, as opposed to if there's going to be a difference under the new administration, and what that's feeling like. So I think that would be a good one to revisit in a few months down the road.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens with the cartel being designated as a terrorist organization. That
I
could
know. That was
love
encouraging.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully the
make it
person who did the designating isn't going to be found dead in their bed or something, awful like that. Crazy, crazy. So I think Andrew's learned, he's in a whole different world now from Seattle, being in Austin. It's very similar, I'd say, in some respects, that it's kind of, well, I think it's more Seattle like, or
It's like
Austin will be
this,
more
yeah.
like
It's like a
Seattle in five
Seattle and
years.
Texas. It's you got the culture and the art and the comedy and the music, but you've got the checks and balances of being in Texas. That's
Yeah, all
Yeah.
around you.
it's
They're in
like
a bubble in
Sounds
the
Austin.
perfect for you, Andrew.
I equate it down to like the governor when the cops were understaffed, they were going through the defunding. The governor, Greg Abbott, no matter how you feel about him, he just dispersed like hundreds of Texas
Yeah,
troopers. I'm
yeah,
like, all right, I could deal with that if that's the action. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, whatever it takes. They kept the order. Texas does want to be its own country, so its own separate country. You never know. They might try to succeed again. Secede.
until everything falls apart when there's a half inch of snow on the ground, knowing the
I
city
know.
shut
But there is no climate problem, right?
down. Florida and
I
Florida and
saw
Louisiana were
that.
the two like highest downpour. Like they set records. Yeah, it's
I
crazy.
saw
Yeah.
that. That's crazy. That
Yeah.
was
It's
some crazy
more to
weather.
more to come on that, I'm
Which,
sure.
I mean, it can be manufacturally made to happen. So there's that too.
We could talk through
What, the weather?
conspiracies all day, Michelle.
I know. Come on.
She's my conspiracy girl. She loves that stuff. I'm into the conspiracy stuff though with the TikTok, because I really feel like there's just all this stuff happening that you can feel it, but you can't see it. And I know
Oh,
it's there.
a good time to touch base will be when the next deadline. I think the next deadline's in 90 days.
Okay.
Okay.
Trump can either extend it then or it gets purchased by enemy. That'd be a good time to touch base.
All
All
right.
right.
Up
We
and
will.
coming. 90 days.
Well, thanks for having some time with us.
Of course, guys. Thanks for having
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. Our pleasure. Our pleasure. And I have no idea if this ended up going live or not. I guess we'll find out.
And if it did,
Sounds
thanks
good.
for anybody that is watching.
Hey,
Hey, everybody.
Michelle, do you want to do a ring the bell? Do you have one?
I wasn't prepared. I know I was sitting, I didn't even bring my ringy dingy bell up with me. So, bring, I don't have a topic.
I don't either.
So it's all good. Yep.
Facial hair or no facial hair?
Oh,
Since he
well,
has a beard, we'll ask him. We have the segment that we just started, that's like Michelle and I will agree to disagree. It was like we did bra or no bra, or bush or no. We've just been doing stuff like that. So let me ask you, facial hair or no facial hair? Which would you prefer? Obviously, I see some on you.
for a man or a
I mean,
woman?
it's more of just a convenience thing for me. And
You
plus, like,
started that with No Shave November like a couple years ago,
well,
didn't you?
this is just me because I like having a beard. But if you think about guys who shave all the day or all every day, all the time, it's like they're shaving so they have a bare face, so it looks
Mhm.
like they don't have facial hair. So they're like it,
It's kind of like
just
women and their
run-
legs.
Yeah,
You
just
shave
run.
your legs so you don't have hair on your legs. Yeah, it's the same thing.
But it's like, what are you trying to do? You're 45 years old. Like everyone knows you have facial hair. What are you trying to prove?
Beards are in, and they are quite a forward trending thing to have.
As
For
long as they're nicely kept and they're cut in nice. We've had these conversations. Because Amelia says that too.
was Jesus's beard nice and kept? Come on now.
I have no idea. I didn't know him.
But beards are really in. They're
And they
trending.
didn't have
It's a
they didn't
thing.
have barbers back when Jesus was around.
And it's popular. All four of my boys have full on
Oh my God,
like
yeah.
beards. All
I
of them.
can't do once it starts curling over the lips. I have
Yeah.
to do something.
You got to send it back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, are you
I-
going to be clean shaven for the wedding or are you going to have facial hair, do you think?
Amelia's been asking me that. I mean, I'm never clean shaven.
Keep the beard.
You clean,
Keep
you
the
clean,
beard.
we're clean. Keep the, just
Keep
trim
the
it up.
beard.
I'll
Yeah.
probably just take it down to a stubble or something.
Yeah.
Little 10 o'clock shadow, not 5.
Well, time will tell. Well, okay. Thanks, you
All right,
guys.
everybody.
Okay.
Thanks, have a good
Thanks,
night.
For
Andrew.
joining
Talk
us,
to you soon.
Andrew.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Oh.